There is something you are still carrying. You might have given it a different name by now. Indifference, perhaps, or practicality. Maybe you have decided you have simply moved on. But if you feel it tighten when the name comes up in a conversation, in a quiet moment, in the middle of the night, you have not forgiven. You have only stored the wound somewhere quieter, in a room you do not visit but cannot sell. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood things in human experience. The word has been so colonized by sentimentality and pop psychology that many serious people refuse to engage with it at all. And that misunderstanding is precisely why so many people who genuinely want to forgive find themselves unable to. The first misunderstanding is the most fundamental. Forgiveness is not for the person who hurt you. It is for you. The second misunderstanding is that forgiveness requires reconciliation. It does not. You can forgive someone and never speak to them again. You can forgive someone who is dead. The act of forgiveness happens entirely inside you. Here are 5 truths about what forgiveness actually is, what it requires, and what it gives back to you, and only to you. Hannah Arendt arrived at her theory through the hardest possible path. She fled Nazi Germany in 1933, spent years as a stateless refugee, and reached New York in 1941. She was careful to distinguish between forgiving and condoning. But for the ordinary wounds of ordinary human life, betrayal, neglect, cruelty, she argued that forgiveness was philosophically necessary. Without it, she wrote, we would be trapped forever in the consequences of our pasts. Truth 1. Unforgiveness is a form of continued relationship with someone you want to be free of. To hold a grievance is to hold the person. Every time the memory surfaces in anger, in the rehearsed arguments you have with them in your head, you are still with them. They are still shaping your thoughts, still consuming your energy, still inhabiting space in your mind that you have not chosen to give. Holding the grievance feels like power. It feels like justice. But you are maintaining a living connection to the very thing that hurt you, and the only one who feels that connection daily is you. Arendt called it the predicament of irreversibility. What is done cannot be undone. Without forgiveness, every human being would be trapped in the permanent consequences of every wrong ever committed. Forgiveness does not undo what was done. It releases you from the requirement to keep living inside it. Truth 2. Forgiveness requires that you grieve what was actually lost. Many attempts at forgiveness fail because they skip this step. People try to go directly from wound to release, as if forgiveness were a shortcut over the terrain of grief rather than a path through it. But something real was lost. Trust, perhaps the specific trust in that specific person, which may be irreplaceable, a relationship that had meaning, a version of someone you loved who turned out to be someone different, a future you had imagined that can no longer exist in that form. Grief names what was lost. Forgiveness decides what happens next. Grief is not weakness. It is precision. Only when the cost has been named accurately can you decide, with full knowledge of what you are releasing, to release it. Truth 3. Forgiveness does not mean the action was acceptable. It means you refuse to let it define you. Forgiveness is not moral amnesia. The wrong can still be wrong. The harm can still be harm. The person who did it can still be held accountable. Forgiveness operates in a completely different register. What forgiveness says is, I refuse to allow this event to have permanent claim on my interior life. What was done is done, but it is not the organizing story of who I am or what my future holds. The wrong stays in the story, but it is no longer the last chapter. Truth 4. True forgiveness often requires forgiving yourself first. This is the truth that most people encounter last and resist most fiercely. People who struggle most to forgive others are almost always carrying unforgiving judgments about themselves. There is a hidden accounting at work. You cannot forgive them because somewhere you also hold that you should have known better, should have seen it coming, protected yourself sooner, left earlier, trusted less. The self-blame and the other blame are part of the same system, and they hold each other in place. Self-forgiveness is not self-indulgence. It is the honest acknowledgement that you were a limited human being, doing what you could with what you understood at the time. That acknowledgement, made without excuse, but also without cruelty, creates the interior space from which genuine forgiveness of others becomes possible. Truth 5. Forgiveness is a practice, not a moment. People expect forgiveness to arrive as an event, a moment of clarity or emotional release after which the wound is gone and they are free. But more often, forgiveness is a daily recommitment made in full knowledge that the previous day's recommitment has not yet finished its work. The anger returns. The story reconstructs itself from the same materials. And the practice is to notice this and choose, again, not to follow it into bitterness. Not because you have resolved it completely, but because you have decided it is not where you want to live. What Arendt understood was that forgiveness is a form of freedom, the capacity to begin something new, to act in a way not simply determined by everything that came before, was the most distinctly human capacity. Forgiveness is how you exercise that capacity inside your own life. The freedom that comes from genuine forgiveness is not the dramatic liberation of a single moment. It is the quiet freedom of a person who has stopped giving their energy to the past, who has reclaimed their interior space, who has decided that who they are and what they do next belongs to them, not to what was done to them. That freedom is available, not after the other person changes, not after they apologize, Not after you feel ready. Now, in the decision to begin the practice. In the willingness to grieve honestly, forgive yourself first, and take up the daily recommitment. The beginning is not a feeling, it is a choice. If this reached you at the right time, subscribe. We explore the deepest questions of human existence every week, so you can live yours more fully.